Why should you cook your own foods? Who has time to cook anymore? You gotta plan the meal, make a grocery list, go shopping, drive all the way there, walk around the grocery store, drive all the way back, cook it. Pots and pans need to be cleaned afterward, and then get the kids to school, get yourself dressed. Lawn needs to be mowed. Let's check Facebook, see how my brother-in-law's Maui vacation is going, and feed the dog, let the dog out, let the dog back in. Did you remember to get some sleep and shower and brush your teeth? You know, modern life is busy, no doubt. So in modern life, we can go to the deli at the grocery store and grab something. We can get fast foods. We can go to a restaurant and even, take some time to sit down and eat, but not as much time as planning and preparing a meal and doing all the dishes. We can eat prepared foods at the deli, or we can just purchase foods that are prepackaged, ready to go, and they don't take a lot of time to cook and there's no dishes. And after all, there's chefs who make it their life's work to do this kind of thing. I don't wash my own car anymore. I take that to the professionals. Why wouldn't we just put our meals in the hands of the experts? Here's why we don't want to do that too much. When we eat all our meals out of restaurants or prepackaged foods from the grocery deli, that type of thing, we become intellectually disconnected from our food. Essentially, we don't know what we're eating. We need to understand, at least basically, what we need to be living a healthy life. We need to know what ingredients we need in our foods so that we can feed the cells of our body properly. Many of us have a pretty cursory understanding that we need to have some protein, we need to have some carbs for energy, we need some minerals and vitamins, and now in the last dozen years or so, we're learning that we need to have some bacteria for our gut too. But when we put too many or all of our meals into the hands of others, we're relinquishing control and visibility of what's in those foods. We lose track of where we are on our nutritional roadmap. When we cook for ourselves, we're paying attention to what's going into our foods. Are those vegetables organic? Are those meats grass-fed? Antibiotics? Those types of things, we pay attention. What kinds of oils are we using in my food? Are there any bacteria? Is this cooked, or are there any raw foods here? Restaurants and grocery stores are businesses, and the main aim of a business is to operate profitably. Now, I will never begrudge a business for trying to make a profit. We all need to be compensated for value that we provide in the world. But when profit is part of the equation for the decisions that you make, the decisions that the chef makes, the decisions that the grocery store buyer makes, to decide what's available on the shelf for you to purchase, the decisions that is made in the deli at the grocery store about what's going to go into those quick items that you can just grab and go. When we have to make a profit is part of that decision-making equation that affects those decisions. Where at home, that piece is not part of your decision. And your decision for yourself, your decision for your family. There are certain immutable laws of the universe. A couple examples would be, what goes up must come down. Or, Newton's law, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. I think he phrased it differently, but you know what I'm saying. I'm going to go ahead and make a new immutable law here for food and nutrition. And I'll try to make it kind of lofty sounding for my own amusement. The nutritive content of a food or ingredient is directly comparative to the cost to acquire or manufacture that food or ingredient. Wow. Okay, but seriously, low-cost foods are made with low-cost ingredients. What is ubiquitous in our food manufacturing and restaurant business are really two ingredients: sugars and high glycemic carbohydrates. Real quickly, what's a high glycemic carbohydrate? That is a carb that really raises your blood sugar dramatically, as much as sugars. These are carbs that are present in wheat flour, let's just say flour, rice, corn, potato starches, potatoes, that type of thing. Real starchy, they taste good and they keep us coming back for more, but our body just processes them into glucose. They challenge our endocrine system in the same way that refined sugars do. They essentially are converted into a refined sugar. And I'll talk in another video in the future about how those feed a certain constituent of a microbiome that isn't so healthy. But that's for another video. So food manufacturing is low cost, profitable, and thus involves a lot of sugar and carbs. I think Justin and Erica Sonnenberg, who are a husband and wife team, they are microbiologists and writers of a book called The Good Gut. It's an excellent book, highly recommend it. They put it best, I might get this a little off, but they said if your gut microbiome, if the bacteria in your microbiome could go to the average grocery store, walk the aisles looking for something to eat, it would be the equivalent of humans trying to find something to eat at Home Depot. Kind of a swag here, but I'm gonna guess 90% of your average conventional grocery store in the United States anyways, is carbs and sugar mainly. Another piece of this is the fact that restaurants and grocery stores and food manufacturers are businesses, and as such, out of necessity, they need to keep the environment where they manufacture all these foods very clean, like sterile. So they're using chemical cleansers and chemical sanitizers, and very often the foods themselves are put into sanitizing solutions, chlorinators, and then they're measured for a certain amount of chlorine, present on the surface at the end. And it isn't zero. At least that's not what's required of them. So if we're eating all or too much of our food supply is coming through that sterile environment, where does the bacteria that we need? Our microbiome needs constant transitory bacteria going through to be healthy. And why is that? Because each time you eliminate 60% of the dry weight of your fecal matter is bacteria. You're shedding it off and they need to be replenished. That's one reason. The other reason is immunity, and that's another video coming up, so stay tuned for that. So we need to take control of our food and know where we are on our personal nutritional roadmap. If we're successful at lowering that line item on our personal budget called groceries and meals, just remember that you may be also being very successful at lowering the nutritive content that you're intaking every day, every week, every month, every year, and that has consequences. Plus, we need those bacteria. Your great-grandmother would cut meats and vegetables from, they'd pull the vegetables out of the garden, they'd still have soil on them, and she'd cut them on a wooden cutting board instead of one of these sterile plastic ones that we use today that has triclosan embedded into it. So, take control of the food that you eat and try to cook more often. Does that mean that you have to cook every meal? No, but by cooking more, you'll know what to look for, you'll know what questions to ask at the restaurants, you'll know what ingredients to be looking for on the back of packaging labels, and overall, in time, you will be doing your microbiome a big favor, and your health a big favor. If you want to stay informed about the latest in gut health, please like this video and subscribe. If you have a question or a comment, please leave it below. I always try to respond. And if you feel this information could be helpful to others, please share it. Thanks for watching.